Hello everyone and good morning. On behalf of Loknete Dr. Balasaheb Vikhe Patil, Pravara Rural Education Society's Arts, Commerce and Science College Satral, District Ahmednagar. I, Dr. Anil Kure, Organizing Secretary, welcome you all in this national webinar on New Education Policy 2020, Perspective and Challenges. I hope you must be a good health and cheerful mind. Friends, the central government recently has introduced a new education policy 2020 after almost 34 years later. The first education policy was framed in 1986 and modified in 1992, and this new education policy has come in 2020. During this period, significant changes have been taken place in our country, society, economy, and world at large. Change is a prime aspect of healthy society, and education to develop good human being capable of national thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage and resilience, scientific temper, creating imagination with sound ethical moving and values. So the new education policy is a good sign of change, but at the same time, we have to understand its impact on a broad scale for this to implement in the new education policy. For this, we have invited a renowned speaker, Dr. Arun Pratap Sikarwar from Agra. Friends, Dr. Arun is an educationist working as a professor in Dayalbagh Institute, which is a deemed university, Agra. Arun has completed his M.S.C. in biotechnology from BHU Varanasi. He has also completed his MBA in educational administration from Symbiosis Pune. He has completed his PhD in biochemistry from National Institute for Research in Reproductive Health from Mumbai and completed 3 postdoctoral associates. One is from Brain and Mind Research Institute, Cornell Medical College, Cornell, USA. Second one is from Institute of Biomedicine, Aarhus University in Denmark. And third one is from Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research, Bangalore. Dr. Arun is a scientific and TV expert panelist for Aaj Tak, India TV, Lok Sabha TV, TV9 and ABP Maza. He has also given a 2 TEDx talk and radio talks on Prasar Bharati. He is a writer and social workers have published several articles in national and international journals. But instead of all this, he is a good human being. He is an expert of new education policy and have explained the vision of new education policy and several national media. So we have invited him to explain the context of new education policy. So once again, I welcome him and request to deliver the talk on. So before this, I would like to invite my colleague and in charge principal Vice Principal Dr. R.S. Tambe to give a welcome talk. Thank you.
लोकनेते डॉक्टर बाळासाहेब विखे पाटील पद्मभूषण अवॉर्डी प्रवरा रूरल एज्युकेशन सोसायटी आर्ट्स कॉमर्स अँड सायन्स कॉलेज सातरळ डिस्ट्रिक्ट अहमदनगर महाराष्ट्र on behalf of college and organizing committee I welcome you all in the national webinar on new education policy 2020 perspective and challenges. Friends, today we have pleased to listen Dr. Arun Sikarwar from Agra. I hope his speech will give us broad vision on new education policy. Once again, I welcome the speaker, Dr. Arun Sikarwar. I hope this webinar will be successful. Thank you.
Good afternoon and namaskar. And it's my pleasure to be invited by Dr. Anil and a good friend from the JNU. And first of all, my great reverence to Lok Nete Dr. Balasaheb Vikhe Patil ji for their so much, great visionary ideas to establish this educational institute, and that make you people and association with me, and we all are here. So again, this is the education and the feelings of teaching and being a student that make us, correlated to each other. So this 29th of July, just 2 weeks before, our country had a new education policy. 20th of nation Mahatma Gandhi said, "I go by education. By education, I mean an all-around drawing of the best in child and man in body, mind, and spirit." Similarly, Albert Einstein's education is not only of facts, but the training of the mind to think. Similarly, even other visionary Nobel laureates and great scholars have emphasized the beauty of the education. And maybe in the prehistoric period, education was not that important, where the human existence or survival was the primary importance. But in today's changing world, education is very much necessary for making a greater human resource that can make a developed country and safe and with the technology driven uh, facets. So since the independence around 74 years back, uh, the new education, the national policy on education, which is a policy formulated by the government of India to promote education amongst India's people. This was the great need, since independence. And then there were Kothari Commission and other commission. They keep giving recommendations. These policies cover elementary education from primary to secondary education, and new education policy 2019. This draft had come up last year, which was followed by a number of public consultations and finally get released on 29th of July last month in 2020. We should not forget the contribution of, implementing this first national policy on education by Mrs. Indira Gandhi as a Prime Minister in 1968, then in 1986 by Rajiv Gandhi, and then the second education policy was given uh, refinement and modifications by PV and Narasimha Rao in 1992. Now, after 34 years of gap and after 6 years of this present government, this new or third national policy on education has come up by Narendra Modi ji. Now, we should not forget the contribution of Right to Children to Free and Compulsory Education Act 2019 to Dr. Manmohan Singh as a Prime Minister in 2019. This Sarv Shiksha Abhiyan, Sab Badhe, Sab Padhe, is a very famous, this wording, that can be seen all around the country. And this has increased the literacy. In 2014, new government has come up in India, and there was need of changing this education policy, just similar to like Niti Aayog has come up in place of uh, Planning Commission on 1st January 2015. So, government took up Dr. T.S.R. Subramaniam, a very senior bureaucrat and Principal Secretary of Government of India, to have a committee to draft new education policy. Um, Dr. T.S. Subramaniam gave the recommendation by 2017, but it was not put up by the government for uh, the the complete uh, initiation, etc. And then, however, he passed up in 2018 also. At the same time, government uh, asked K. Kasturirangan, a very senior space scientist and Padma Vibhushan recipient, to go on further to ameliorate and develop new education policy. There were 9 members in this committee with Kasturirangan sir, including the Vice Chancellor of SNTT University, Mumbai, and P.D. Katimani sir from Indira Gandhi National Tribal University, Amarkantak, and other sub-dignitaries. And they worked upon for at least 2 years to formulate this all recommendations for the new education policy. This committee gave the final report in 2019 itself, and drafted come up, and now it gets real shape. So what is education? Education is what remains after one has forgotten everything he learned in the school. That great Albert Einstein had said. It means whatever we learn in the schooling and colleges, that makes a efficient person for a better tomorrow. So in this way, you can see that whatever I'm learning in a school and colleges is certainly not going to be utilized in the same form in later course of my professional life. It makes me efficient. So education is that abstract thing that make you capable, that make you efficient person or efficient engine. So education in its general sense is a form of learning in which the knowledge, skills, and habits, these three things of a group of people, are transferred from one generation to the next through teaching, training, and research. And education is preparing a person to face everyday life. So in today's world, education is very much necessary to make a efficient and sound body, mind, feel a human being who can judge, you can have a better judgmental ideas, progressive thinking, and this all. So, what are the principles of new education policy? The principle is to develop good human beings capable of rational thought and action, possessing compassion and empathy, courage, and resilience. I mean to say empathy. Empathy gives the sense of you can have a empathy over some destitute or poor. Courage and resilience is to fight against some wrong thing, so that education gives all these things. It also gives scientific temperament to discover new things, to innovate new things, creative imagination, and with sound ethical moorings values. It aims at producing engaged, productive, and continuing citizens for building an equitable, inclusive, and plural society. So ultimately, on a society basis, this is on an individualistic basis, these all characteristics. This is based on a human society because each and every human being is part of society. So we should have an equitable, inclusive, and plural society as envisioned by a constitution. However, even since after 7 decades, equitability has not yet come. Like even your educational institute uh, and many other minority institutes still are, there to make whole country at the par at the similar level. So now let me discuss this gross enrollment ratio. So new education policy aims to increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education, including vocational education and skill education, from around 26% in 2018 to 50%. Okay, so there's a great thrust. We have to take this value up to 50% and aims to add 3.5 crore new seats of higher education institutions. So far, at by 2020, it's only rough estimates I have given here, like 1 to 5 class, almost 100% literacy is there. And for 6 to 8, up to 86% children scores there, means 14% gets dropped down. Class 9th and 12th, up to 76% goes on for studies, while 24% uh, gets behind this procedure. You see the drastic change here. Up to graduation, only 26% in India gets educated till the undergraduation or so, while 75% gets uh, uh, gets away from this race. Post graduation up to 8 to 9%, and doctoral less than 1%, I can say. So, as a need of gross enrollment is necessary. Uh, Now, this is the data of 2011 when 17.27% was the gross enrollment ratio. At the same time, USA was having up to 83%, Australia 77. So this is a wide gap between us and developed countries. However, the colleges, number of colleges has increased very rapidly. In 50s, it was number 578, and now by 2011, 31,000, and now more than almost 50,000 colleges. Okay, so number of universities, let's see. So at the time of independence, India was having only 20 universities, and there were only 241,000 students in the university. And by 2007, there were 397 universities, and this 2014 was having around 660 universities, But in last 6 years, this tally has reached to around 950. So 18 was having 850, and in now 2020, it's almost 950 universities in India. However, presently, there are several universities which are holding more than 1,000 constituent colleges associated with each university. So this new education policy is given a rider that not more than 300 colleges should be under any university once this new education policy gets come up in good shape and into effect. Now, little bit I want to discuss about this school education. So far, there was only this week term of class 1 to class 12, uh, where the board was in the 8 to class 9 to 12 was more important. But now more emphasis is given here in the this basic education, and it is divided into the four parts, like foundational education till this class 1 and 2, then preparatory class 3rd to 5th, then middle 6 to 8 class, and then secondary education including high school and intermediate. So there will be quite good a demarcation to get this implemented properly. And the good thing about the education, school education especially, the these recommendations are like this. They will be restructuring school curriculum and pedagogy in new 5 plus 3 plus 3 4 design, as I just explained in the previous slide. There should be holistic development of the learners, the students, holistic. I mean, there's more emphasis that one should learn each and everything. There's a there's a thrust towards reduction of the curriculum, rather increasing the extracurricular and co-curricular activities. So we have to reduce curriculum and increase these extracurricular curricular subjects to increase the critical thinking for the students. There will be greater flexibility in the three language formula. This was bit hyped thing, but government has said that there will be uh, no imposition of some particular language, and mother tongue will be the like very much necessary by until the class 5th or so. National curriculum framework for school education will be set up. Teacher eligibility tests will be strengthened and giving more priority to to search new good teachers, like even better teacher, I can say. There will be continuous professional development of teachers with improvement in their knowledge. This will be given a priority here. A common guiding set of needs and professional standards for teachers will be developed by 2022. And equitable and inclusive education. This is again more important. Equitable and inclusive means we have to go till the last end of the poor person. There should be inclusive education. No one should be left out in this education thing, and much more. Now, coming to higher education, starting from the undergraduation to PG and postgraduate. So, higher education plays an extremely important role in promoting human as well as social well-being. So, I can say in some way, like till the class 12, for individual to survive in a nature, at least class 1 to 12, and that education should be there. Later on, whatever higher degree we get, this is not only for the individual but for the whole nation, for whole country, for whole, we can say whole human society. Okay, so and in developing India is envisioned in its constitution a democratic, socially conscious, cultured, and human nation upholding liberty, equality, fraternity, and justice for all. So, like we wish and we expect that such individuals will be going through higher education, that they will be taking care of all these ideas. Higher education significantly contribute towards sustainable livelihood, means to reduce down the poverty. We have to give these students that they can have a sustainable livelihood, they can have economic development of the nation in return, not only himself or herself, for the nation also. As India moves towards becoming knowledge economy and society, these are expectation that we will be doing this all, for large scale to the country to give a thumbs up among the whole world community. So major problems right now in the higher education are few of them. That becomes the need or the requirement of this new education policy to take over on the previous way. So far there's a fragmented higher education ecosystem. Like I can say, there's several, kind of universities, state, private, central, deemed, and blah blah. There's several kind. Less emphasis on the development of cognitive skills. This is very important. So far, the world, many developed countries are having more emphasis on the cognitive skills and learning outcome of the students. However, it is presumed, and many people have criticized that our education so far was more having emphasis on the theory, and it was having less cognitive skills related thing. It was more on the rod system also. So rigid separation discipline, yes, like how you can see the science student cannot take even a commerce subject or economics. He has to take somehow physics, chemistry, and maths, for example. Similarly, a commerce student cannot take even a science subject. So this rigid separation was there so far. Limited access, particularly in the socio-economically disadvantaged area, that even your institution probably stands here in this group, with few higher education institutions that teach in the local language, limited teacher institutional autonomy. This is again important. Many students are having limited autonomy, and that hinders their plans and their visions to improve the education. Inadequate mechanism for merit-based career management and progression of faculty and institutional leaders. This is career management. Like there is a gap between students' education with the need of the industry. Okay, like you might have heard that how an engineer of today, sometimes they even can't do even small work in a fan or can make a small instrument. So they have a practical knowledge very poor. Less emphasis on the research, it is being said. Many universities are just teaching purpose. And ineffective regulatory system. Like so far, UGC and other bodies, they are having suggestive capacity. They are not having punitive power. They cannot. They keep giving their recommendations. Many universities even don't listen. Many universities follow them up. Okay, and large affiliating universities, as I told, like in my place, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar University, Agra is having more than 1,000 colleges, and it becomes so mammoth job for a university to control. So new education policy is to overall and re-energizing this higher education by several ways. And it is presumed that it will be helping in the moving towards higher educational system consisting of large multidisciplinary universities, large and multidisciplinary, and colleges also, moving towards more multidisciplinary undergraduate education. Multidisciplinary means a person which is having more than one kind of knowledge, information, and wisdom. Moving towards faculty and institutional autonomy. We have to, government is to give the autonomy. Revamping curriculum and pedagogy assessment, especially evaluation also. Evaluation is very much necessary because so far in education we are having the evaluation system or examination system based on the rod system. Rather, we have to take now further on an analytical part, and it should be even open reading, open book format also. That time very much analogical, very uh, cognitive questions we have to frame up, and the students has to do this. Reaffirming the integrity of faculty and institutional leadership position through merit appointments. I mean, meritocracy should be prime importance, obviously. This is good thing. National Research Foundation, NRF. This will fund the universities and colleges. They'll give seed money. And then governments of higher education should buy highly qualified independent boards that I will explain in the coming uh, slides. There will be independent boards under Higher Education Commission, and that will be having academic and administrative autonomy. Light for time, I mean, uh, higher education regulator will take care of all that system under the umbrella. Increased access, equity, inclusion through the range of like even poor places, rural places like your place, even in my northern UP or so, we have to do equity and inclusion of everyone. And then there is a thrust for online education and open distance learning, these two terms. Remember, nowadays we are under having coronavirus pandemic, and how online education has come up with so emphasis and so importance. So this will be inculcated with the better infrastructure and better take up by all the universities online education. And second features are research intensive. So there will be like more or less two kind of universities after a few years: research intensive and teaching intensive universities. So research, they will take care of research and innovation, and some teaching university will take care of the teaching. A stage-wise mechanism for granting graded autonomy to colleges. I mean, this says that there will be some senior colleges, or I can say famous colleges, they will be given autonomous degree granting capability. And later on, when they perform better and they undergo accreditation by some government body, under this Higher Education Commission, these colleges might be given a cadre of university. Growth will be in the both public and private institutions, with a strong emphasis on developing large number of outstanding public institutions. There will be more thrust on public institutions because they are presumed that they have a better infrastructure like that. Okay, and the overall higher education sector will aim to be integrated higher education system, including professional and vocational education. I mean, there will be now proper marriage between education institute and the industry partners, and then there will be need of industry partner or industry people to give their recommendation that I need a student of this kind, and then it is institution will frame out the course curricula according to their fitment of the industry. So there will be more flow of students in the such industry towards holistic and multidisciplinary education. Holistic means there will be sense of empathy, love, emotional quotient. This all should be inculcated in the student during the education. So not only his own curriculum thing, he must be envisioned with the co-curricular and extracurricular activities. And then they will be imaginative and flexible curricular structure. This is very important, and this was given very importance by all the media, saying that a student can take now three different subjects, like one from commerce, one from arts, and one from the science. And even though he can do a graduation, it is up to his or her wish. And then there will be multiple entry and exit points. So like a student can, like suppose parents gets transferred from one city to another, even after 1 year of undergraduation, he can be given a diploma like that, 2 year then certificate, and 3 year for degree like that. Flexible innovative curricula. And yes, these are more important today's scenario. This I have highlighted, like each and every young or youth or undergraduate or PG student should have a inculcation of these ideas like community engagement and service, environmental education, how environment is get integrated, so it is prime importance, value-based education, environment education, how the pollution is affecting our life, climate change, pollution, waste management, sanitization, conservation, biological diversity, and so on, forest, biodiversity, wildlife conservation. So now we will expect every student should have at least these subjects ideas. Okay. Now, one good thing is academic bank of credit in this proposal of new education policy, like a piggy bank here, you can see shall be established, which would digitally store the academic credits earned from various recognized higher education institutions so that the degrees from an HEI can be awarded taking into account credits earned. So this way you can have a degree, but your study could be from more than one university. Like it's up to you. Now there are several, more courses, massive open online courses like Coursera, edX, and Swayamprabha in India, like that. And there are several other options are there nowadays. So one can earn these credits from the courses, and he and she can claim with the institute that I earned so many credit with these topics, and then they will not be, uh, left out, and they will be given the credit. And as I told you, they will be, yes, and more importantly now, undergraduation will be 3-year and 4-year. There will be two kind of B.Sc, and it's having multiple exit. Like after 1 year, certificate. If someone leave after 2 years, then diploma, then bachelor degree after 3 years. And if someone gets interest in the research, then he will begin 4th year as a multidisciplinary bachelor's program, and this 4th year will be totally research based. Okay, and then after that, such student who is having 4-year BSc will be having need of only 1 year as MSc. So this way, MSc will be of two types now. There will be two kind of MSc. One will remain the same as such, like 2-year program just now, that we devote entirely to research. Here, yes, there is the improvement that first year will be theory and second year will be totally on research. However, some universities so far is having 3 semester or 1.5 year as a theory and half year and 1 semester as a research. Okay, so later on, like sooner or later, MSc will be this, and then there will be 1-year master's course or MSc also for those who are coming from 4-year bachelor's program, having a tag of research, so that they can go for PhD. So ultimately, this UG and PG, any option will be of 5-year, the same way, just like previous. But there will be no MPhil program. MPhil program is now to be discontinued. So what will we be seeing, after this all? So it will mitigate opportunity, cost, and fees for pursuing higher education. It will provide more financial assistance and scholarship. So government is to give more financial assistance and scholarship for socio-economically and disadvantaged students, like poor or rural area students. It will conduct outreach on higher education opportunities and scholarship. They will be thrust on this. Make admissions and curricular process more inclusive. Inclusive means somebody should not get devoid of because of some problem. So there will be equal right to every individual that we advocate for. Increase employability potential of higher education programs. And that's, I told you, there will be more correlation between university and industry. Even now, there will be more trust that at least 100 rich people and rich organization of country, just like Reliance or Edge or HP Computer or so, they have already set up universities or they are going to set up. Even like Tata will set up few universities, we can imagine. So this way, these big hubs will be having their own university and they will be making thousands of their own human resource for the industry. So this way, they will be helping in the country's progress in their own way. Ensure all buildings and facilities. Yeah, this is related to the disabled uh, individuals. They should not feel ashamed to go where they have no wheelchair accessibility or buildings are having no access to such disabled students. Develop place courses for students that come from disadvantaged education background. Provide socio-emotional and academic support. Ensure sensitization of faculty, counselor, and students on gender identity issue and its inclusion in all aspects of higher education um, institute. Now, this, as I told you, NRF, National Research Foundation, will provide reliable ways for merit-based but equitable peer-reviewed research funding for the faculty. So the faculties of the universities will be having an element of research because BSc 4th year will be totally research member. Similarly, MSc will be now 1 year as a research only. So helping to develop a culture of research in the country through suitable incentives for the recognition of outstanding research and by undertaking major initiatives to seed and grow research at state universities. So like it is overall to increase the feelings of research and doing this getting research. And especially research will be more focused on the local issues, local problems, the societal problems, human values related to the environment, as I told you, related to wildlife. So there's a thrust on the research on these topics rather than doing probably basic research. The NRA will be governed independently by the government. by a rotating board of governors consisting of very best researchers and innovators across field. This is having very good implication here. Bureaucrats are being kept aside. So such bodies will be governed by academicians or professors like we all of us, and it will be by only educationists. So government wants that there will be less hassle from the bureaucracy. Bureaucracy is for implementing this thing, okay, in their own capacity. But the initiation, recommending, formulation, the guidelines, this all should be under the control of academicians. So Higher Education Commission of India, just like you might have seen planning commission or election commission, how they are powerful. Like election commission has a great power during the elections. They can even turn down the many recommendations of the local governments, So this Higher Education Commission will be very highly empowered body, better than the present today's, setup in the government. And this commission will have four verticals. First and foremost important is National Higher Education Regulatory Council, NHERC. It's a single point regulator for higher education sector, including teacher education and the recruitment, formulating guidelines, etc. Then second is National Accreditation Council, NEC. This is more or less similar to NAAC, National Assessment and Accreditation Council, which is from Bangalore right now, which is part of under the UGC. That will be now separate body. Its job is to give accreditation of the institutions based on primarily on the basic norms, public self-disclosure, good governance, outcomes, and independent board. This duty will be to give a hierarchy in the institute, so that public should know which one institute is doing good and which one is performing bad, like that. Just like similarly NAC score or like that. Third is Higher Education Grants Council, HEGC. It is more or less similar to the present UGC. It is to carry out funding and financing of higher education based on transparent criteria. And fourth is General Education Council. This is to frame expected learning outcomes for higher education program. Expected learning outcome kya hai, that we have this will take care, and accordingly will modify. Like we are living in this such period where a lot of developments are happening. Technology is very much rapidly changing, so they will keep updating. Now, this governments and regulation, you can see the University Grants Commission will transform into Higher Education Grants Council, just now I told you. And then there's one more good thing is happening. Private philanthropic initiatives are encouraged. So anyway, right now also private philanthropy has come up with several universities, but there will be more thrust. There will be more universities from private uh, big organizations or rich giants. At least they have to come up, just like Geo or Reliance universities, etc. As I told you. And then there will be, okay, whatever the departments, council, and these on a state level and government level are there, then they will be converted for different purposes. So new General Education Council will develop National Higher Education Qualification Framework. So there will be different jobs given to these bodies to take care, along with this Higher Education Commission to 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 reshape this new policy. This slide I've taken from internet, and you can see right now what is the difference between present system of higher education, which is governed by UGC, and what will be the next upcoming through the Higher Education Commission of India. Like presently UGC, the job is affiliations of colleges to universities can be terminated for uh, contravenes its regulation. It can be then grants, and it occasionally publishes list of bogus institute. So far, UGC keep giving a list of bogus institute. It is there on the website of UGC also, and I'm very sorry to say that UGC is having its recommendation, but they cannot stop this bogus institute. This list remain as such. Since 10 years, I'm seeing several institute, and they're still flourishing. They are still taking students. even though UGC does not recognize. But UGC has no right to close them up also. But remember, this HECI will be having the power, empowerment of, to give the penalty. Even HECI can land the violators can land in jail for up to 3 years. So it is having more punitive power, just like election commission or so. So now the education institute which are not performing well and they are having very true kind of motto and mission, probably they will be getting into trouble once this comes to existence. Okay. Similarly, UGC chairman used to be the head so far, and his retirement age was 65, just like other government officers. But government is so kind enough this time, they have given the commissioner, uh, HECI commissioners, retirement age up to 70. It's very much exceptional, you can see here. It means such academician, he will be, I mean, it is presumed that by age 70, people are generally quite okay. So chairman's retirement age is being kept 70 age, and UG chairman remains 65. Okay, and then there's several other, regulator staff and this all, that thing will change, So if you consider this 66 page, long new education policy, in my opinion, I do feel there are more positives than the negatives. However, individual to individual, these choices and personal, uh, prejudice can have a, disadvantage and advantage more or less. So this new education policy is more positive than negatives as far as my view is concerned. How it is only after the execution of bureaucracy, how this execution will take place, that we have to wait and watch. Okay, and then only we can say this will be effective and as per the given this 66 page long document of NEP, that we have to see. So what are the challenges? I've just now I'm going to finish out this presentation. So what are the challenges? So now several people keep asking me and others, when this NEP shall come into existence or implemented. Even I have no idea because this depends only on the central government. But one thing is clear that due to this coronavirus problem right now, many things are being put on hold because of economical uh, down downfall. But I wish by next year, February, March, when this budget will be coming, the general budget, that time some money will be allocated and slowly this NEP will come into existence. Then name the course curriculum. Who will be taking care of this course curriculum? So far, NCRT is being given this part for the course curriculum. What will happen to UGC, AICT, and NCRT and other bodies? As I told you just now, like UGC and this all are given one verticals under the Higher Education Commission. By what time they shall be doing increment of 6% GDP. Now this is more important. This year, because of coronavirus, we have a big problem. And not only it's throughout the geopolitical part. So every country is having problem. So let's wait when the government will be having up to 6% GDP on education. Skill and vocational education is being asked in this NEP. It will be starting from class 6. But in my opinion, it is too early. Even few people, senior people are also in this belief that it is too early. Class 6 here, class 6 students is not that. Even the schools are not having workshop, even they will not be having vocational training labs like tailoring or 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 tailoring could be there. It could be anything. So do we have such kind of labs? So it needs a lot of infrastructure and money. Do the schools can adopt it with proper infrastructure? So early recruitment of good teachers, it's very necessary. So far, we have seen undoubtedly many teachers, they even are far less poor, they even can't name a governor of the state like that. And then there's a poor ratio of teachers to students so far. So can we have that standard? In my opinion, I do remember that Hyderabad University is the and JNU also, they're having up to 1:10 ratio, teacher student to teacher ratio, but it is not same for all the universities and schools. Autonomy, autonomy is another issue. Few institutions want more autonomy. Let's hope if we are having educated minds with this new education policy in coming decade or so. I mean, I envision an educated person uh, who is sufficient to learn how to learn. This is more important. See, education and this curriculum things are okay. This is to improve your improve your information in the brain. Based on your mind develops more knowledge. So more information your brain is having, more knowledge will your brain mind is there, and more cognitive function you are. So a person or student should be very much keen to learn how to learn, and this learning could be anything. And similarly, to keep learning new things and also learning same thing but with different ways. I envision such students who can learn many things. Like, even in my opinion, I love learning new things, every time. And that gives me the capability. The more you learn, it takes less time to learn new more things. Okay. I mean, once you are learn enough with several things, then you can learn next thing very quickly. That capability to sense that future is here. See, future we have not seen. Future is here itself. Technology rapidly changing. Only a student or the youngsters should see this unevenly distributed in their future. Future is everywhere. It is unevenly distributed, but there should be such cognitive mind by this education that one can understand. It is the need of the hour, need of the place. And humans with proper sense of environmental issues, ethics, morals, empathy, etiquettes, these all should be filled in every student after someone gets UG and PG study. Okay, not only study, but he should be having all these parameters equally. So just intelligence or intelligent quotient, IQ is not necessary in today's world. A person should be having emotional quotients equally also, and social quotient also. So we have to give education which is having not only IQ but EQ and SQ also. And this is my last slide. I'm thankful to you to listen me, and I do hope very positive results will come of the education policy